And it looks like our runners are off, and Uncle, as always, has something not very valuable to say, but sometimes funny.
He's gotten even extra snarky in these newer versions.
Absolutely. We just see 10 arrows in the first chest, which not really much use, because if our runners do find the bow from the Uncle, they'll get full arrows anyway.
Yeah, we'll very shortly see what their starting item is.
We do see the Cane of Samaria. So, you know, when I run this, I seem like I get Samaria half the time, even though I know it's pretty evenly distributed. But man, I get Samaria a lot, and it's actually one of the better ones in my opinion. You prefer the hammer probably or the bow, but Samaria isn't that far behind.
No, a super underrated weapon in my opinion, and leads to a lot of really fun and interesting strategies for killing enemies.
Yeah, you can just set that block down and push it into enemies. You can actually like kind of damage boost through it, push the block through it, and then you make it explode from the other side to knock the enemy in the direction you want him to go. There's all sorts of fun things you can do.
It's really I like that from SuperNinTaylor there. He actually killed those first two guards in the drop down because he knew he was going to be able to get those 2 extra magic pots. Like trying to farm for bombs so he doesn't have to do it later.
Yep, it's definitely a good strat, and I think Tairr might have forgotten to open that first chest, and once he realized it, he's like, well, I can get it on the way back. No big deal. Since I believe he is participating in the NMG tournament that's going on right now, he might just be used to skipping that chest at this point. But you know, it's not a big deal because he will be going right by it again.
Just a little bit of muscle memory there, maybe. So Tairr with just a slight little lead here. SuperNinTaylor's done a little more farming. But our runner's going to be looking for around a 6-minute escape sequence. That's about the benchmark you want to be hitting for this.
Yeah, with some of the tougher weapons, it could go a little bit longer, but Kane is one where you can generally hit pretty close to that mark.
We're just using pot strats there to save some magic.
Yeah, both of our runners have done a very good job of managing their magic. They haven't really gotten much by way of farming, though. Taylor does have 40 rupees, but neither one has found a bomb yet.
Still plenty of opportunities to do so. There's all the snakes in the sewers, the rats, all of which could have the bomb drop they're looking for.
Yeah, the one thing with the limited resource weapons through escape is that a lot of times you'll find people dodging more than fighting because you just need to save up. And we do see that Taylor gets a bomb drop, so that's great for him.
Definitely fortuitous. We'll see if he continues to farm. You just need that one bomb to get into the 3 chest area at the back of escape. But we're going to want more bombs when we get into Kakariko, so anything you can grab right now on your way is very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a balance at this point. The big time save is he's already got the big time save, which is getting that first bomb. After that, you might hope to get some from a tree pull or something like that once you get out of here. So it is a little bit of a balance.
Tairr having no luck. Kills all the snakes, gets nothing for his trouble.
He's gonna have to be a little bit careful here. He is down to half a heart. Now, the rat's only hit for a quarter heart. I don't know if he has a quarter heart or a half heart. We can't actually tell that level of detail, but regardless, he needs to be careful through the next couple of rooms.
All right, let's see how hard Tairr's going to farm for his bomb here. Definitely wants to get it before leaving this room.
Luckily for Tairr, he's only going to miss out on the blue mail. He is definitely down to a quarter heart now because he did get hit by a rat. So he just needs to dodge these rats as he makes his way through the last two rooms here.
Yeah, obviously blue mail is nice to have, not required. But Tairr's going to, I mean, he's almost assuredly going to come back for that location at some point.
Yeah, so with that escape sequence, our runners leave about the same time. The major difference was Taylor decided to farm earlier in the sequence, and Tairr decided to farm later, and it just so happened that at least one of the Green Guard prize packs had a bomb for Taylor, and the snakes and rats just didn't cough up any bombs for Tairr.
Both the runners following the same route here into the Lost Woods. Once again, Tairr's still low, so he's going to have to be a little bit more careful here.
Yep. So we see from Taylor the tree pull for the second tier is hearts. So Tairr is getting those hearts right now and is suddenly out of danger.
Well, so far our seed has not given our runners much. They're gonna hope that Kakariko has a little bit more for him.
Yep, and notably Taylor has both 100 rupees and one bomb, so he can go into, say, Blind's Hut with that bomb and not have to worry about backtracking, whereas Tairr will need to backtrack one location because he doesn't have the option to go buy bombs yet either.
Yeah, he could go down to the, there's a little hut in the lower left-hand corner of Kakariko where you can farm for a bomb in the bushes, head in, and get 4 bomb drops, but looks like he's going to hope that Blind's Hut has a bomb pack for him in one of these chests.
Yep, he does not get a bomb, but he at least gets some rupees to buy some bombs, so something out of it, and he isn't missing anything in the back, but he will likely come back to check that later. We do find the powder, though, which is a nice find. Great safety item, and it could lock another item.
Yeah, and power gloves from the bottle vendor. Very important item to find here early.
But instead of going to buy bombs at the bomb shop, Tairr tried to risk the well here too, and he did find bombs in the first chest, so he's able to check all the chests here.
Yeah, and interestingly, SuperNinTaylor actually opts, rather than diving into the well and trying to get lucky, heads down, goes and buys some bombs. So maybe some slight inefficiencies from the routing here, but
yep, it's a little bit of a gamble, and if it pays off, it certainly saves you time. But if it doesn't, then it loses you time. So either way, it's pretty interesting. But Tairr did end up finding the ice rod in the well, so that's a great find.
Yeah, very interesting. Anytime you find that early, the first thing that comes to mind is Turtle Rock. Is it going to be a crystal? Is it going to be a pendant? What does that ice rod mean? Could be nothing.
Yeah, if nothing else, at least we know it won't be the item that our runners are looking for half an hour at the end of the seed. So it's a great thing to find early just for that reason, because it's only blocking one location, and that is Trinex. So otherwise, it can be just about anywhere in the world.
Well, Tairr's going to buy some bombs as well. They want to stock up. If they're going to head down to South Shore and do mini Moldorm, they might want to use bomb strats rather than cane strats on the mini Moldorms in there.
Yeah, especially since both of them are running a little bit low on their initial magic supply.
Didn't catch what the library ammo was on SuperNinTaylor's side, but for Tairr, we see big 20.
Yep. Now Taylor has finished Kakariko. We'll have to see. Maybe Tairr will end up going back to the back of escape immediately to make sure he didn't miss anything important. Since they found that power glove on the bottle vendor, that would be a pretty good check.
Looks like that is exactly what he's going to be doing here.
And meanwhile, Taylor's making his way towards the South Shore, checking the dam first. We got 2 items here, and likely we'll be going to the 5-item mini Moldorm cave directly after.
So the items our runners are really looking for right now are going to be the Moon Pearl and either the Mitts or the Hammer. Either one of those would give them instant Dark World access.
Yeah, we should expect to find some sort of progression here on the South Shore, I would think, but you never know. Could be have to be going all the way towards Eastern Palace. That's their Hashila, or in Eastern Palace itself. Taylor is opting to use the Samaria strats. He is pretty much out of magic at this point, so if he can't get up, blew open the block just in time and got the last one.
Oh, bee in a bottle. That might be interesting. Could our progression be on Sick Kit?
Yeah, very well could, and that's a little bit unfortunate. When you find something like the bottle or the flute here on South Shore, right after you've cleared Kakariko, you might have to go right back.
SuperNinTaylor going to opt to go and check the Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, he doesn't have all that many checks left, so to leave one behind at this point when he's closest that he'll be to it, it wouldn't make a lot of sense, I don't think. So it's no surprise to see him going for it, and I believe Tairr will be heading the same direction.
Yeah, it's one of those locations. It's a little bit out of the way, and you either get it over with now, or you gamble that there's nothing there, and maybe come back once you got the flute.
So Taylor has a small lead coming over here to Eastern Palace, basically from getting a bomb and escape. That's pretty much what the extent of the lead is right now. But he checks the island, sees the other boomerang, and I don't think Taylor will be getting that because he's much happier with the one he already has.
Yeah, the red boomerang, while it does go farther, a little bit more on the particle effects side. And most speedrunners will opt to forego that for lag-related reasons.
Yeah, there's even some strats, like from the NMG run, that if you try to do it with a red boomerang, you just get some really strange effects.
And we find the Moon Pearl on the back of Sahasrarla's hut. Still need more for Dark World access.
Oh, we got our first map check. do you see a pendant at Eastern Palace and crystals at Desert and Hera?
Even despite that, SuperNinTaylor is going to check the items in Eastern Palace because our progression could very well easily be in there. It's 3 items versus, the 1 in Agonist Cave.
Yeah, and that's all we have left right now. There's either 2 or, well, anywhere from 1 to 3 items that are in the logic here. It just depends on where the big key is and where the map and compass are relative to the dark room. But regardless, I think both Tairr and SuperNinTaylor will be getting all of the chests that they can access while they're here, regardless of the dark room in the way.
There is one other location that's open to us besides Agonist Cave, though. Important to keep in mind that with that glove now, King Zora is in logic.
Very true. And we haven't seen that sick kid check yet either. So this is still the most the play that makes the most sense, just because it's the most item dense location. But we do have those other options that you mentioned.
I wonder, now that they have the Pearl, if they'll route in a fake flipper tour of the Lake Hylia area. Assuming they don't find anything here.
Yeah, I do wonder if, SuperNinTaylor is a couple rupees short for Zora. Now, he doesn't have the lamp, but there is that room that you can farm 90 rupees in here. It's very difficult to do in the dark with the 2 anti-fairies bouncing around, but it could be a good option. The other option to get a few more rupees would be to go to check Agonist Cave, and there is a lift rock there that blocks a little cave that you can farm 50 rupees at a time.
But it looks like we're going to come up empty here in Eastern Palace. The only other item is going to be locked behind the dark room.
Yep, our runners are going to, have a choice of several out-of-the-way locations. So, pick right, and you probably make your way to the Dark World a little bit faster than your opponent, and pick wrong, and you're probably just wasting a bit of time. So, it'll be interesting.
We are still a little ways away from Aga being in the runner's minds as well. They need either the Master Sword or the Cape and the Lamp for that to be in play. So seems unlikely at this point, given the dearth of locations that are remaining to them.
Okay, well, we do find the Quake Medallion here in Eastern Palace, potentially required.
See SuperNinTaylor heading to Sanctuary. Wonder if he's going to head up Death Mountain, maybe?
Yep, he might be doing another option for rupees. Now, I think he might be going to the Sick Kid, too. That's one of those options will be true, but one other option for rupees, they have the gloves. They could just bomb themselves into the Sanctuary drop and end up in the Houlihan room. So, especially since Tairr is a little bit further away, that might be a better choice for him if they decide to go that route.
Yeah, but it looks like both the runners having the same thought. Check Sick Kid first, see if it has your progression. If not, then go from there. Oh boy.
Well, we do see our cape, so that's an interesting find at this point.
Still need a lamp and a sword for Aga 1 to be in logic, but that's step 1.
It's looking like Taylor might be farming rupees here in Blindside. He is here in Kakariko, so he might just be thinking, hey, I don't want to make an out-of-the-way trip. Let's just get these rupees here, and then I'll go directly to the fake flipper.
And Tairr gonna go to desert, probably maybe farm up some rupees down here, or it looks like he's going straight for Agonist Cave first. He can, if he goes to Agonist Cave first and finds either mitts or hammer, he can avoid having to farm for rupees. So this is a good call to do this before anything else.
Yep, and he could also opt to go back to Sanctuary and do the Houlihan if that is his intended route.
Or he could find 300 rupees.
So that's a bit unfortunate for Taylor. Tairr does have his money now, so I expect both of our runners to be making a similar play here.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they are hot on each other's heels. SuperNinTaylor falling a little bit behind now, but they are neck and neck.
Not sure where Taylor is going at this point.
Looks like he's taking the normal route up to Zora. So he's going to forgo fake flippering, skip the items in the waterfall cave. Maybe, or I'm not sure if there's another strat to get into that cave without fake flippering from where Tairr is.
So I wonder, he just menued to the powder. I wonder if he was thinking the powder was actually the mushroom, and that would have made a more sense of a route. You might get it in your head that you got something in that slot, but it's not what you thought it would be.
Tairr's going to be able to go a little bit faster here because he has the water walking glitch.
Not only does it allow you to walk on deep water, but you actually go faster on deep water than the shallow water. So yeah, he can go directly to Zora and get there quite a bit faster.
It is the myth, so at least for the moment, our runners have dodged Aga. Still not out of the question, but this gets them to the Dark World.
Yeah, until either the flippers or the hammer show up, or even with the flippers, the hammer could, it really depends on what crystals 5 and 6 are. Aga's not out of the question.
So Tairr will be the first in here. Probably get a map check really quickly, and then we'll see if he decides to go to Skull Woods or Village of Outcasts first. It's a very quick map check. I know I saw Red Crystal in Skull Woods. Or, yes, Red Crystal.
Yep, I saw the same as well, but I really did not pick up as much as I hoped I would. So we'll probably see another map check here from Taylor. He's actually 5 rupees short for the chess game, so that's unfortunate. But then we find a vanilla 300 rupees in the doorless hut. So yeah, so he has his money now for the chess game.
Sure does. It's really interesting how close the run is. The seed has kind of dictated that based on the way it's laid out the items. But both are runners checking pretty much the same things at the same time. It's been interesting.
And there we do get a good look at the pendant at Thieves Town and also the other 5/6 crystal at Swamp Palace.
And Misery Mire, our green pendant.
And we see in the second chest in Thieves Town, Tairr finds the boots.
I know that was something that he put in his bio that he really was really looking forward to finding.
Yeah, so with the early myths, that actually opens up 2 locations since they can get both the Bonk Rocks and the King's Tomb.
Yeah, really only missing 1 item to make that trip, fully efficient, the Mire. So they can't get Graveyard Ledge yet, but yeah, absolutely. They can route in a bunch of stuff near Sanctuary now.
Tairr opted to Death Warp to just check the first 4 in Thieves Town, and it looks like Taylor's doing the same thing.
It'll be interesting to see if we can maybe get some route divergence here. Will SuperNinTaylor follow Tairr to the digging game in South Dark World, or is he going to head up to the north here?
And Tairr finds the Mire at the digging game. That's like finding an item right when you want to find it. That's the basic definition right there.
Yeah, that's a really nice item to find now. The Mire is so vital to checking a lot of these locations here in the Dark World, so that's huge. And SuperNinTaylor right behind him is going to be getting his Mire shortly.
Yeah, not only does that make the Blacksmith and Purple Chest sequence a lot easier and faster to do, but he can also route more efficiently in the South Dark World by checking Graveyard Ledge, or not Graveyard Ledge, South of Grove Ledge on the way. Although, they can check Graveyard Ledge too when they check the Bonk Rocks if they would like to opt in that direction.
Should also be able to check Powder here. Batcave.
Yeah, that's a great point. With the early Powder especially, we have access to that now. And I have certainly seen the hammer be locked behind Batcave on multiple occasions. So you do end up losing your portal. So it's no surprise that Tairr did not check that. However, it might be a good check for him to make before too long.
Yeah, it can be easy to forget that the Mire gives you access to that. Normally you're thinking that you need the hammer for it, but you're right that Tairr's probably feeling like he wants to be able to check all these Dark World locations, and losing his Mire would prevent him from doing so.
And it looks like Taylor did not adjust to having the Mire. He's bringing the frog with him. Not a huge deal. He just will be unable to check the purple chest along the way here.
Yeah, I wonder if he's thinking that he can start from Sanctuary and route back down, do Bonk Rocks, do King's Tomb, route back down, and then grab purple chest.
Yeah, that's also a valid option.
And Hype Cave has a flute and the hammer.
So that is a very nice amount of hype in our Hype Cave today. Both the flute and the hammer showing up.
And that means Taylor can continue his run through Dark World here. He can go up, check Pyramid Fairy, and if he's feeling like it, he can even check Catfish.
So it's the find of the flute's an interesting one for this particular seed, because we do definitely need a way into Desert Palace, and that gives us that way in there, but it also potentially will unlock Mire once we have a sword. And well, you know, you don't really want to have pendant dungeons become available in the logic, so we'll just have to see if that becomes required later on.
Absolutely. The one thing that they're going to be looking for before they can complete Desert, however, is a light source. Very easy thing to forget. I know I've done that, made that mistake before. You can't get to Land Molus if you do not have a fire source, so we'll be on the lookout for that lamp or fire rod.
Taylor is continuing his route all the way to Catfish, as he said. You know, not finding anything great yet here. He did find a bottle on the pyramid, but we'll see if Catfish turns out to be important. This could be a really good play.
Oh my goodness, and he finds the bow.
So yeah, I would say that turned out to be a really good play.
That worked out incredibly well for SuperNinTaylor there.
Yeah, so our runners kind of got narrowed into a very specific route to get to the Dark World, but now the seed just gave them all sorts of things right on their lap. They got the boots, followed by the hammer and the flute and the mirror and the bow in short order. So they had barely anything to do, and now they have a lot to
do. It'll be interesting to see what SuperNinTaylor decides to do from here. He could go directly for Pod. Still doesn't have the lamp, but given his experience, I would imagine he's not uncomfortable with dark rooms in the slightest.
Yep, so it looks like Taylor's activating his flute before he drops off his blacksmith friend.
There's Tairr, and looks like he's following close behind SuperNinTaylor. Will also be activating his flute.
Yep, so Tairr likely turned in the purple chest. Unfortunately, that's the one item that we just don't know what it was quite yet. And it looks like Taylor's forcing the blacksmith to turn back into a frog momentarily.
Yeah, remembering that he needs to go there from the Dark World to be able to grab the purple chest. And of course, now that he has the hammer, to do hammer pegs.
Now it looks like Tairr's going up to check Lumberjack Cave. I don't think Taylor did this check, and neither of our runners checked at the beginning of the game, so if this is important, it could give Tairr a leg up. But it's just a 5-arrow upgrade.
So Tairr will be fluting away. And it looks like he's going to be making the Palace of Darkness play.
But Taylor checks hammer pegs and finds the first sword. So what may have been a little bit of an oversight on Taylor's part, taking the frog with him rather than turning him in right away, actually turns out to be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, gets him back to that area sooner with the hammer. Sword is required for Skullwood, so we need at least one of them. He's also going to be checking Bat Cave, potentially.
Yep, it looks like he's opting to pick up the purple chest first. You can drop in with the purple chest, so that makes sense.
Yeah, grabbing it first. He will lose that mirror portal, as we mentioned, but doesn't need it anymore because he's already checked all those Dark World locations.
And just a bomb upgrade from the Magic Bat. So I would expect Taylor to flute and turn in his purple chest. And after that, he has a couple good options. He could go check out the Mire area, Mirror to Desert, check the overworld items there. Or he could do the play that Tairr is making, which is go into Palace of Darkness. Also, all of Light Death Mountain is available to them as well.
Yeah, with that flute
now.
Yeah, absolutely. With that flute now, they're able to get up there, skipping the dark room. So, just judging by things, looks like the only chest we missed on Tairr's side was that small key. And he went around the bow lock side, grabbed those two chests there.
Yep, it looks like Bombos is the required medallion for Misery Mire, and Taylor finds the mushroom in the Mire shed. Pretty appropriate place to find the mushroom, just here in the mire.
Yeah, and finding that now that you have the flute is not the worst thing in the world. You can very easily now get up to the Witch's Hut. So might see a check on that shortly.
And Taylor gets his second sword right after his first, so he's on Master now, while Tairr has not yet done either the Hammer Pegs or the Checkerboard Cave to get his first sword.
And another sword, wow. So Tairr has yet to find any of his swords. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor is now on Tempered.
Yeah, this might be the greatest sword disparity I've ever seen in a seed, at least this early on. And we do see that those boots were required, so we know that the Pendant Thieves Town dip definitely required.
Yeah, definitely one of the reasons why, even if Thieves Town is a pendant, you'd be really hard-pressed to skip out on it. Those first floor chests are really easy to get and can very often have progression items for you.
So we do see Tairr doing dark rooms here, using the boomerang. He doesn't have that sword, which is usually the preferred method to navigate while in the dark, but he does have that boomerang. He can use it kind of like a sonar in a way, and he did get those two chests in that basement. Now, the dark maze itself will be a little bit more challenging because you do have the Dodongos in there.
Yeah, meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor not finding much of anything there in Desert Palace. We'll have to come back later once he has a light source.
Yeah, I think he found both items. It's just none of them were progressive, so he'll have to go back to get the crystal later. But now that is in the back of his mind, but not a pressing issue. Looks like we have a pretty dark stream right now.
A little bit of a brownout here. Both our runners.
Tairr's making use of Samaria strats in the dark room to see where he is as well as he can. I did see him get one of the chests. I think he still needs to get one more. Tairr is continuing to try to get through this dark room. It is very tricky. He's changing up his strats to use the boot dust, dancing around a little bit with the boots.
Yeah, this is such a tough dark room to do without your sword.
Taylor finding that Hera is not fire locked, at least to kill Modorm. There still could be something fire locked in the basement.
And all that work just for the Cane of Burna, it looks like. Tairr take a second to check his menu, see exactly what he got from those dark room chests. But it doesn't look like it was anything progressive, so...
Yeah, the Cane of Burna is a really nice item, but it's not really what you want to find after spending the time to do that dark room.
But he will go ahead and head back. And meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor on Butters.
Well, this is a first for me, I think. We have one runner with Butter Sword and one still swordless.
This is incredible. So he found the first sword from Hammer Pegs, which Tairr was unable to get because he did not have hammer when he was there the first time. Then the second sword was in Checkerboard Cave. Third one was on Desert Ledge, and now the fourth in the big chest in Tower of Hera.
Yeah, it's not like Tairr made a bad play going to pot or anything. He has a crystal with 5 items that he was confident he could full clear. Yes, it's very difficult to do it swordless with no lamp, but you know, Tairr has made it through here so far and gotten all the items. So it's a good play. It's just, it seems like one of our runners went in the direction that's working out, and one of them is yet to find anything really progressive.
Right, and the only one I could potentially see Tairr maybe missing is Checkerboard Cave. All the other ones are going to be in locations he'll be checking regardless, so he'll get his swords eventually, but it's just funny to see one runner with Butters and one runner with no sword 45 minutes into a race.
And Tairr's working on one of the hardest rooms to do swordless, lampless in the game. The turtle room, and this is pretty much the best strat. It's just turn in circles and spam your hammer and listen to the sound. That's about all you can really do.
Yeah, you're really hoping if you have to do this room that you have at least the fire rod. That way you can light when the torch is in the room. But otherwise, yeah, you're stuck doing what Tairr's doing, which is just kind of feeling around. The terrapins will eventually come towards you, but it can be really easy to get bullied around by them.
Quake does work on flip turtles, but you have to flip them first. And I don't think it kills them. I think it might turn them into the slugs, although I could be wrong on that.
But Tairr makes it through anyway, and now we'll just be heading straight up to fight Helmethor King.
And we do see that Turtle Rock is Bombo, so that will definitely be required.
It's a very fine fight from Tairr on his side. 17 hits of the hammer to the helmet, and then 8 arrows into the gem. And he takes care of Helmosaur King.
Yeah, unfortunately just finding a red rupee, so I don't think he found anything outside of the Cane of Burna in that entire dungeon, which is unfortunate for him, but he does get a crystal, and it's a crystal that Taylor will probably get before too long here.
Oh, we might have some hovers going on SuperNinTaylor's side.
Doesn't look like he has a rhythm today. Some days I know he's really good at it, but just not getting the right rhythm today.
Yeah, and glad to see him not bang his head against that too much. It's definitely one of the harder tricks to pull off, and really only saves you time in a couple unique areas. Meanwhile, it looks like Tairr's going to be following in SuperNinTaylor's footsteps. We'll probably be hitting up Hera here.
Yep, so for Tairr, he will get his fighter sword where Taylor got his butter sword.
And SuperNinTaylor checking out Paradox Cave. And that's a bust. So not much to speak of up on Death Mountain.
Yeah, at this point, collectively between our runners, there is not a whole lot they haven't checked yet. We have yet to see Skull Woods, and the other major place we haven't seen yet is Misery Mire, which could have items for our runners. Taylor's doing something else we haven't seen, which is turning into Mushroom.
Yeah, he has the mushroom. He did find the shovel off of Moldorm, so that might be another spot he checks here. And it seems like both of our runners really were putting off Skull Woods until they had that fire rod.
And as you mentioned, Taylor is getting these fetch quests out of the way, so just check the mushroom, checking the shovel spot now. And Tairr did find his sword, so he's coming into the Moldorm fight a little bit happier.
Finding Bombos. And Turtle Rock was Bombos, you said?
Turtle Rock was Bombos, and the interesting thing is you're still missing like a piece from what you would want for the different dungeons. You would still want that fire rod before you would make your way all the way back to Turtle Rock. You'd still want to know that the flippers were available before you did a full clear of ice. Man, they're just missing a piece here or there.
This is very interesting. SuperNinTaylor are going to be doing the same play that Tairr did just before, so he'll be heading into Pod and getting that out of the way.
Yep, I would expect Tairr's next play to be the first thing that Taylor did in this sequence, which was go to the Mire area, check the overworld locations, and do as much of desert as possible. So we might get a pretty close sync at that point. We'll be able to tell exactly where our runners stand in relation to one another.
Yeah, just kind of the way this seed has played out. It kind of strung both our runners along in the early game. They took a little bit of a route divergence there, midway in the mid game there. But yeah, we'll probably be syncing up once they do all the checks that the other has already done.
Yep, I do imagine the question's going to become, do you go into Mire or do you go into Skullwoods?
Both locations only having 2 items for our runners, and with Skullwoods being a crystal, I would expect them to probably head there first. They also have yet to check Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge. So there's still some checks in those locations that they can get out of the way.
Yep, I agree with that. The interesting thing, though, is Tairr will probably be in the vicinity of Mire when he has to make that choice, so he might just opt to go right in, unless he opts to do Skull Woods before he does the Mire area. He could also, it's not necessarily something you want to do, but you could pretend that the flippers are your next progression item and just go into Ice Palace and see if you can find the Fire Rod or something like that.
Tairr will be finishing up on Dark Death Mountain here in just a moment, and we'll see what he decides to do. SuperNinTaylor with a very nice bomb jump. Saw him practicing that before the race started.
Yeah, he also got the nice energy muscle memory in there with the menu to Mire. Now we're seeing something from Tairr that we didn't see from Taylor, which is the Spike Cave check.
Yeah, this could be very interesting if it has something for us. You wonder when SuperNinTaylor is going to think to check this spot, so could be big for Tairr.
But unfortunately, just a big 20, so nothing in Spike Cave today. So right now, Taylor seems to be having a little bit of issue in the Dark Maze, just like Tairr did, but getting out of it a little bit faster, I think. Tairr is doing those fetch quests that Taylor did after Death Mountain.
Yeah, you can see how having the sword is definitely benefiting SuperNinTaylor here. Just so much easier to navigate those rooms with the little sparkle from the sword.
Tairr taking a peek at the desert ledge before he goes in the portal and seeing the sword there and realizing how free it would have been before Pod.
Yeah, you wonder what he's going to think when he sees the sword in Checkerboard Cave as well.
And Taylor's making his way to Helmasaur after finding a whole lot of nothing in Palace of Darkness. And I haven't mentioned it, but we do still have 2 more items in Thieves Town. Our runners checked the first 4, and there were 2 items there. So it very well could be that the back half of Thieves Town has 1 or 2 more progression items. We are, however, getting very close to that point where our runners are going to converge, and then it becomes an issue of what the next choice is and whether it turns out to be right.
Yeah, and it's looking, as you know, the further this goes along, it's looking more and more likely that like our runners are just gonna have to dip into a dungeon that they can't complete and just try to see if they've got progression there.
Yeah, either a crystal dungeon they can't complete, or they can go to a pendant dungeon that they can complete. There might be 1 more item in Eastern Palace even. It's not in logic, but it's something. They can do Ice Palace, which is not in logic, but it is a crystal with 3 items. So there's interesting choices, but none of them are great, I would say.
Yeah, you really never want to have to double dip into a dungeon, and you always try to avoid going into pendants wherever possible, but what they're looking for could be in there.
So Tairr's immediately checking that mushroom while Taylor has finished Helmasaur. So our runners are tied on crystals, and they're fairly close in checks. There's a couple things that Taylor has checked that Tairr has not, namely the hammer pegs and the magic bat. However, they're very close to one another.
All right, this should be pretty instructive. See where they flew off to.
It looks like Tairr is making the play on Ice Palace.
Yep, obviously he has everything he needs to be able to full clear this dungeon. But, of course, not technically in logic since he does not have the flippers. Still, if he does find something like the fire rod in here, it could be very beneficial to him.
Yeah, the major risk that Tairr is taking right now is if flippers are your go mode item. You don't want flippers to be your go mode item and have full cleared Ice Palace. Now, they are still looking for quite a few items, so it seems this is a gamble, but it's not as big of a gamble as it might seem.
Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor are going to give us our Graveyard and King's Tomb checks. Actually, sorry, he's checked King's Tomb already. But he'll give us our Bumper Ledge check probably right after this.
So between item checks here, we are about an hour into this race. It's been a great race so far, very, very close. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, give the runners a follow. They're doing a great job, and they're both very good runners. So if you would like to, go ahead and drop them a follow.
Absolutely, and 2 guys who do a lot of rando, so this has piqued your interest, they're a couple of great runners to keep an eye on.
Taylor remembering Lumberjack Cave, so probably relieved that there is no progression item there. Now, it probably wasn't the #1 check in his mind because he still doesn't have that lamp, so Agate's still not in logic.
Yeah, and looks like at this point he's going to go ahead and head into Skull Woods.
Yeah, this is a nice route from the options available. He got the Graveyard Ledge check-in, the Bumper Cave check, the Lumberjack, and now checking the front of Skull Woods. Like, you feel the anticipation. What's that next progression item we're going to find here? It's pretty exciting at this point.
Yeah, it's that one item that's going to send us off in who knows what direction. Could be really anything at this point.
And especially if it's on Tairr's side, that would be very interesting because it could just be that Taylor's looking for the flippers and that's about it.
Tairr also missing the hook shot does make Ice Palace a little bit more difficult to route around.
And unfortunately for Taylor, no items in the front portion of Skull. Oh, and Tairr finds the hook shot in Ice Palace.
Speaking of.
So what's really great about that for Tairr is it pretty much ensures that there's not going to be a go mode Ice Palace in this seed. So regardless of what happens and where the flippers end up, Taylor at some point is going to be checking that Ice Tea chest, and it's going to be a long check for him.
Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor finds the lamp in Skull Woods. That opens up Land Mollusk for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It opens up Lammo, but I don't think Lammo had an item. I could be wrong on that, but I thought we were out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Taylor do that, but the other thing it opens up is the green pendant.
This sure does put that into logic now. He will probably be doing Landmo first here, and then, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if he dives into Misery Mire.
So it'll be interesting to see how far Tairr lets this hookshot take him. He could make his way all the way back to Hookshot Cave, or he might decide, maybe I'll wait to see if I can find the Fire Rod in the intended progression, because I'd hate to travel all the way up the mountain and not have the Fire Rod to do Turtle Rock while I'm up there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, if he's going to be going for Hookshot Cave, you're right there next to Turtle Rock, and it's not out of the question that Fire Rod could be in there.
Yeah, that's definitely the other side of it. It could be a good excuse to check that first chest in Turtle Rock, and maybe it has something required. Maybe the flippers even.
We'll have simultaneous boss fights going on here as SuperNinTaylor's fighting Land Mollusk. Tairr drops into Cold Stare.
Tairr release has been a little bit too early, so this fight has gotten a little bit out of hand. He's at 2.5 hearts. Any hit from a puff will get him at this point, but he's down to 1.
Ooh, so close. Gets hit by the Ice Stare right at the end, but does get the kill on Cold Stare. Very nicely done.
So Taylor, remembering, he never checked Agnes Cave. Probably, you know, when he checked checkerboard and desert before, it just slipped his mind that he didn't make his way here before. We know it's just 300 rupees, but he's remembering the check now and getting it out of the way.
So I think Tairr might be doing the same check that SuperNinTaylor just completed. That hookshot is nice, but it doesn't open up as much for him as he would like.
Yeah, and it looks to me as if Tairr is making the play on Mire. 2 items inside Mire, and the green pendant makes for a third. Completely in logic, so this is a good play. Especially since the seed gave our runners the flute shortly after their Dark World access. It very well could be the play that they need to make.
Yeah, and wanting to avoid double dipping any of these crystal dungeons as much as he can. We'll do a quick check on Mire, see what it's got for him. And yeah, hope he doesn't have to head into either Turtle Rock or into Ice Palace like Tairr did.
Yeah, and Tairr finds the Butter Sword, the 4th of the swords that he could have had before he did Palace of Darkness, so finishing them all off now. Yep, and a little bit of confusion in chat. The boots are in the logic as an access for Misery Mire, so either the boots or the hookshot can be in here in any given seed. So in this particular seed, since we had the boots, it could have been the case that the flippers are in here to get us the hookshot in ice. So we'll see. We could find the flippers.
And yeah, the thing I'll be curious to see for SuperNinTaylor, if he does find his progression in one of these chests, does he complete Mire, or does he head right out immediately?
Well, he finds something that may or may not be his progression, so at this point I think he continues, but that's not what you want to find when you're in a pendant dungeon looking for progression.
No, certainly not. Only opens 2 locations and gives him a check on the pedestal, potentially. But that's about it.
Yeah, so I fully expect, unless Tairr happens to find like the flippers, I would expect him to finish out everything here and get the green pendant. But we'll have to see. He could surprise us. The fire rod would actually be another item that might lead you out of here, because that opens up all of Turtle Rock.
And makes Skullwoods completable as well.
And Tairr, meanwhile, is doing some of those checks that Taylor had previously done. The Graveyard Ledge. He had checked Hammer Pegs and the Magic Bat. I do expect him to make his way to Skullwood soon here, as soon as he gets the Bumper Ledge out of the way.
Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor finding all of the small keys in the dungeon. Still hasn't found an item, I don't believe. He's going to have to head over to the left side here of Misery Mire and go through that really long cutscene.
Yep, so he is opting to do this first. I wondered if he would go, if he intended to get the green pendant no matter what. It could make sense to go directly to Vitreous in the hope that Viddy has the last item, but checking this, probably just being thorough, wants to make sure he gets everything on the first go around, or maybe not even fully committed to that green pendant quite yet until he sees what's here.
I might have missed it. I didn't see if he found an item. Oh, he found the book. That's correct. So still just one more item left in Misery Mire.
it could very easily be that the back of Thieves Town is actually the answer for our runners, but it does feel like that book could be important.
Just a single arrow, and SuperNinTaylor just going to say, I've had enough.
Yeah, leaving the green pendant behind. He has 2 new locations to check, plus, you know, like we said, back at Thieves Town. So a couple things left, but not too many. So we'll have to see.
Meanwhile, Tairr also finishing his Skullwoods check, and he's actually heading up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Tairr elected to rescue the old man in the dark, so he's taking care of that right now. Meanwhile, Taylor is checking that Bombos tablet.
Just a 10 arrow upgrade. Now SuperNinTaylor will also be going up to Death Mountain.
And I wonder if Taylor remembers Spike Cave, because he didn't get it before, but this would be a perfect opportunity to route it in. He won't get anything out of it, but, you know, it's a good, thorough routing.
For sure. And the interesting thing about both these checks, our runners are going to be checking different spots that the other one does not have access to. So Tairr will be going into Hookshot Cave, while SuperNinTaylor is checking that final tablet.
Oh, and we find the fire rod on Ether Tablet. And lucky for Taylor, he's up on Death Mountain already.
Oh, and if he wasn't thinking about doing Turtle Rock now, he for sure is after that.
Yeah, I think he's going to check Spike Cave quick and probably make... Well, actually, Ice Palace, without the flippers, he might make that play.
And this is interesting. Where are the flippers? We're running out of locations where they could be.
I think they have to be in Turtle Rock at this point. Turtle Rock or Mimic Cave. I mean, most likely. They could still be in the back of Thieves Town for all we know, but Turtle Rock seems like the most likely.
It's probably the most likely, but could also be the green pendant, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. They could very well be sitting on that green pendant.
But, so... just to kind of read it, that was a forced dive into Misery Mire to get that book, to get the fire rod off of Ether Tablet.
Yeah, flippers could even be on the pedestal at this point. There's a lot of spots it can be. They just can't be locked behind anything from Ice Palace, so they couldn't be in Hookshot Cave, for instance, past the first chest. But yeah, they could be just about anywhere.
Yeah, and this is really unfortunate for Tairr. He's going to check Turtle Rock here. Now, it could get him something like the flippers, but we know he's not going to find the fire rod. He will not be able to complete T-Rock at this time.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing for Tairr about finding the flippers will be that he might opt to full clear Swamp Palace looking for the fire rod. But luckily he gets locked out.
Yeah, just skipping out at that first chest. That's a fortuitous break, even if it probably doesn't feel like it to him.
Yeah, and the one nice thing about Taylor getting Skullwoods out of the way, it's a crystal, and he can also check the pedestal, knowing that, well, for him, the 2 items he's looking for could be here. So it's a great check, and gets a crystal out of it too.
Absolutely. You always want to know that information if the pedestal's ever in play, so this makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Tairr's going to make his play into Mystery Mire, and we know that will get him on the path that he needs to be on.
Yep, this will definitely get him towards the Fire Rod. We'll have to see if he opts to do something different than Taylor and get that green pendant. He does have an extra progression item than Taylor did when he was here, so it seems less likely that he would continue on, but you never know.
The one thing to consider, and probably the reason why SuperNinTaylor skipped out on clearing Vitreous, is he does not have silvers, and the Vitreous fight, he does have Gold Sword, so he probably could take care of it relatively easily, but even still, the difference between silvers, Vitreous, and not having them is quite a vast difference.
Yeah, silvers are definitely nice. Taylor does know the energy strats for most of the bosses, so I think he'd be very, very happy to take him on with the Gold Sword. I think it was probably just a matter of the time required.
Oh, and his decision, at least for now, looks a lot better now that that pedestal is just Couch Cash.
Yeah, he managed to find the Ether medallion on Mothula. By the way, a really quick, nice fight on Mothula. Just about as perfect as you can get. Looks like he's going to Turtle Rock.
Yep, and sure seems like our flippers are going to be in Turtle Rock at this point.
Yeah, it would be really funny if they were in the back of Thieves Town or something like that, but Turtle Rock seems like the play.
Well, there's no reason for SuperNinTaylor not to do this now. Being a crystal, you just want to get that dungeon out of the way, and if it has your progression, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely the right play to be making in his shoes. Meanwhile, Tairr is about to get his single arrow. And while Tairr's a little bit behind on getting the Fire Rod, he does have the full clear of Ice Palace behind him, which we do know that Taylor will have to do at some point because he needs to find that hook shot.
Yeah, will not be able to go mode that dungeon, so a little bit of an advantage there that Tairr does have, but he is slightly behind at this point. This is interesting from Tairr. Oh, he has not gotten the big key yet, has he?
Yeah, I'm not sure what route he took in here. It's a little bit different than Taylor's for sure, but there are many different ways to route Ice Palace, especially when Mire, especially when it's a pendant dungeon. He finds the big key there.
Yeah, I was wondering what he was doing because he had already found both items, but does need that big key as it looks like he intends to go fight Vitreous.
Yeah, so this could be a play that jumps Tairr back into the lead. It could very well work out for him.
Yeah, but what we know he needs to hope for is that flippers are the green pendant item.
Yeah, from Taylor's side, the good news is that there isn't that much left for him to do, and he would get driven back to that green pendant pretty soon if it did turn out to be the flippers, but it would allow Tairr to catch up and probably surpass where Taylor is right now.
Yeah, flippers being that item, that SuperNinTaylor, the one big item that he's looking for right now is helpful because he knows it's not in, you know, he knows it won't be an Ice Palace. And he obviously can't even get into Swamp, so not many more item locations left for him to check anyways.
Yeah, the good news on Taylor's side is he's almost certain, and the same is true for Tairr. He's almost certain to be able to go mode Swamp Palace, because once you get those flippers, you're not going to go into Swamp Palace without the hookshot before you go and fully clear ice. So that Swamp Palace is going to be a go mode Swamp Palace.
Tairr making quick work of Vitreous there. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor still has not found anything yet. So the big chest and one more chest location before he gets to the laser bridge.
Yeah, Pod has a reputation for all the items being in the back, but really Turtle Rock's the same way. You normally get a bunch of keys and usually like at least one of the dungeon items up front, and then you get a laser bridge that's just full of the items that are in the dungeon. Tairr also cleaning up the Desert Palace Crystal while he's in the area. Perfect time to do it. Great routing.
Just 50 rubies in Mimic Cave. And there they are. So that, as you were mentioning, should send SuperNinTaylor immediately to Ice Palace after he finishes off Trinex.
Yeah, so we know where all the items are. We're just waiting for our runners to put together the remaining pieces, but this it's been an interesting seed, and it's still really close if Tairr goes to the right checks here. He really needs to get that ether tablet as soon as possible.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be checking the green pendant first. Makes sense. If you spent the time to get it, you need to go check it right away.
Just a big 20 from Sir Hashila.
Yeah, unfortunate there on Tairr's side, but luckily for him, he goes straight to Death Mountain. And looks like he's going to be right on SuperNinTaylor's heels after he gets that Fire Rod.
Yep, Taylor's going to have the Turtle Rock clear ahead of Tairr, but Tairr has the Ice Palace clear on Taylor, so this could end up being very, very close.
Yeah, just kind of the way the routing has worked. We're going to probably see them come together sometime around Swamp Palace, and that's going to be very, very interesting as we complete that and head up to GT. Oh, see, Tairr still needs to do Skull Woods as well. So he does have one extra dungeon to check, though that should be pretty quick.
really nice Trinex fight from Taylor. You got the 0 cycle first phase and pretty perfect second phase.
Pretty textbook there. So let's see how SuperNinTaylor decides to route this. The hook shot was in the Ice Tea Cave, Ice Tea Room. So we'll see if he decides to hit that up first, or if he, goes to that right side, grabs the 3 chests.
Yeah, since this hook shot he's looking for, I don't remember where the small keys were, but it might actually be a smart play to go around to the iced tea chest first, because there are key placements in here where those right side chests wouldn't even be in logic for the hook shot. Tairr having a little bit of a party here with the chain challenge, but he's getting through.
It's just such a nasty room to try and get through. The chain chomps hit for so much damage and can really make your life miserable.
Taylor playing a nice game of catch with his own bomb, but he gets through, so it's all right.
That was a very clean bomb jump there from SuperNinTaylor.
Yeah, that was textbook. Again, he's been practicing those MMG strats. We could see it at the beginning there, and it's really paying off in his execution down the stretch here. For those of you just joining us, Taylor's go mode item is the hook shot, and it's in the Ice Tea chest in Ice Palace here. Tairr's go mode item is the flippers, and it's in the roller room in the back of Turtle Rock. So both of them are closing in on their go mode item as we speak.
It looks like SuperNinTaylor looks like he's going to be heading to that right side area first.
Yeah, given that he didn't get a key in those first 2 chests, it would have been more optimal to go to the iced tea chest first, just because, that chest would have to be a small key for this right side to possibly have the hook shot. Or it could be the hook shot itself, and then you're practically done.
This is one of the tougher bomb jumps in the game.
Yeah, the way a lot of runners do it there is to move after placing the bomb, but if you get on the bottom pixel, you can just place a bomb to the left and it will actually, you don't have to move after you place it. Meanwhile, Tairr hits go mode with his flippers.
Yeah, obviously you'll still need to check it. I believe the small key was in the second chest on Laser Bridge, so you'll still need to get that. And you wonder, I'm sure both of our runners are pretty comfortable with the Silverless Ganon fight, but you wonder if he just checks them anyways, because they are right there. Looks like he will be skipping out on them though and heading straight for Trinix.
Yeah, so Tairr will certainly be done with his dungeon prior to Taylor, but Tairr has one more dungeon to go. It's a very, very quick dungeon, and then they'll probably converge into Swamp Palace at that point.
Tairr not quite getting the 0 cycle, getting that one head attack, but we'll make short work of Trinix there with that butter sword.
And Taylor hits go mode as well with that hook shot. So making his way back to Cold Stare, Tairr gets his 5th crystal. Still needs to do Skull Woods, and then we'll probably see both of our runners in Swamp Palace at the same time. With Taylor getting there a little bit sooner, I think.
Yeah, I think should be a pretty quick Cold Stare fight for him, and then he'll be heading straight for Swamp.
Tairr could also opt to do Swamp Palace first and then finish up with Skull Woods. Once you're in go mode, you do what the dungeons in the order that you're most comfortable with, especially if they're all Dark World dungeons. It's a little bit better to end with the Light World dungeon because you can just flute right away after that and save a transition, but we have Dark World dungeons, so that really doesn't matter all that much. All right, so Taylor gets his 6th crystal. Cold Stare got a little bit away from him there, got a little bit too close for the spin, so didn't get the right angle, but cleaned it up all right and is on his way to Swamp.
Yeah, so SuperNinTaylor with a slight lead right now. And yeah, I think it's just all going to come down to execution from here on out.
So for those of you just joining us here at the end of the race, both of our runners are in go mode. Tairr has a little bit of a lead within Swamp Palace, but Taylor has the Skullwoods Crystal already, which Tairr still needs to grab. So we have a very close race here and a very close finish. Great runners, so we'll be excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, the only little bit of route divergence that could even potentially happen at this point would be, does either of our runners choose to go right side of GT?
Yeah, and it could very well come down to a GT key choice, or yeah, side choice at this time to find that big key.
Tairr opting to just head straight for the boss, not even grabbing the chest in this room here.
Yeah, there are a few chests here in Swamp Palace that some runners will check if they're still missing an item that could make their lives easier. In this case, the primary item that could be is the silver arrows, but It looks like our runners are just moving on. At least Tairr did. I don't know. We'll see if Taylor checks that push block chest.
As Tairr battles Argus here, getting rid of those puffballs.
Now, before the race started, we got to see Taylor practicing for the 0 cycle Argus. We'll see if he can get it. I'm sure he'll go for it, but sometimes you just can't get the RNG right, so we'll see. I'm sure he'll go for it, though. And Tairr gets his 6 crystals, so he'll be on his way to Skullwoods.
Very impressive fight from SuperNinTaylor.
Yeah, not the 0 cycle, but still a very nice fight. And he gets a 7th crystal, so he will be making his way to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, and he'll be doing so just a little bit ahead of Tairr here.
So we have a bit of a tradition here in the randomizer community. Now, we don't have the Big Key guessing game officially on the A Link to the Past randomizer channels, but we can still play unofficially. There are 22 chests in the basement, 22 item locations in the basement of Ganon's Tower where the Big Key can be. Get your guesses in there in chat to see where it is. Jay Misher, what do you think? Where's that Big Key going to end up?
I'm going to go ahead and stick with the prediction I've been giving and say number 7. I think we'll find it pretty early.
Good choice. That's if on the right side first route, that would be the torch. So that's a fun one. I think I'm going to go with. I want this race to be as close as possible. So maybe we'll make it a late key. Let's go with. Let's make it the latest possible key. Make it 22.
That would certainly be interesting, and if that wouldn't be the case, routing would become a pretty big deal.
I want to see some Ganon's Tower execution here. So we see Taylor opening up Ganon's Tower while Tairr was soared up after his last crystal. So this is pretty close. It's about a 1.5-minute gap, I'd say, but really close.
Absolutely, and like I said, could come down to execution. Who's able to execute their Ganon's Tower, better?
And no small key on the right side, so our runners will be forced to go to the left.
And chat bringing up a good point. It looks like skipping Vitreous could end up being the difference in this race.
Yeah, it certainly is about the time difference we see right now. We're through the first 8 chests and nothing yet, so SuperNinTaylor will continue on, and Tairr is opening up Ganon's tower. And SuperNinTaylor keeps finding a lot of small keys, but not the big key yet.
Maybe he can super glue them all together to make a big key.
It could work.
Just gotta think outside the box sometimes.
And that's 10 through 13. No, 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 no. We're moving on towards Bob's chest and Ice almost. And, you know, I would expect both of our runners to be a little bit nervous at this point. There weren't any obvious places to pick up a lot of time on this seed. Our runners really didn't do too much extra, but still, they both know that they're up against a strong opponent. And we're at the 143 mark, and we don't have the Ganon's Tower big key yet. So it's starting to get to the point where the nerves are kicking in for sure.
Absolutely. And, you know, given where they found their go mode items and how long it took them to get them, I'm sure they're both feeling behind at this point.
We got a nice Ice Armos from SuperNinTaylor.
And of course, our big key would be right side.
Yeah, so we have 5 chests over here. We have the 4 in the Vanilla Compass room and Tile room. So if your vote was for Tile room, you got about a 20% chance at this point.
Now, Tairr's side, do you think you might consider doing Tile room first?
I think everybody has that thought go through their head, and then usually their better sense talks them out of it, but who knows? You never know what you're going to do at this point in a rando race.
SuperNinTaylor not quite quick enough to get through this room before the torch goes out.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a time loss, letting Tairr catch up a little bit.
And oh my goodness.
I called it.
You sure did.
Sorry, Taylor and Tairr, but you're going to go to Tile room today.
All right, Tairr, what's your plan?
Looks like Taylor's making use of the cape glitch. This is one of those glitches that nobody did a few months ago, and now everybody seems to do it in tile rooms, where you just activate the cape and hold onto the wall, and your magic doesn't drain.
Oh, Tairr's going to be going and doing these chests first.
Yeah, it's the right call. We know it's not going to work out for him, but it's the smart decision to make. It's just unfortunate that he could have made this race a little bit closer if he checked the tower room first, but he's still not that far behind, and any slip up from Taylor could really close the gap.
Yeah, we are really, really close here. This has been a fantastic race so far. Tairr making use of the same trick that Taylor did.
Taylor's coming up on the gauntlet with his NMG practice. Should make quick work of these rooms. Certainly got through the first one very quickly, and the second.
Yeah,
got a really awful RNG pattern in that room, but still making pretty good work of it. So Tairr has gotten his big key and is right behind Taylor.
Just missing the 1 cycle landmost 2, but gets the spin there for the 2 cycle.
Taylor getting a little bit of lag in that second Wizard room, but he still got all 4 of them down in 1 cycle, so that's good. Tairr with a nice snipe on that room, getting that blue horse head guy from across the room.
Just getting body blocked though by the eye laser statue.
Yeah, the BMOS can really get in your way in those rooms. Taylor not checking any chests, doesn't need the silvers. He's feeling good. He's at the end of the gauntlet. He has everything he needs to beat this game, just executing from here on out. Tairr, meanwhile, is coming up on land mode 2, opting to use a powder because he has managed to get down to half a heart, but squeaked through here.
Yeah, I was getting embodied a little bit in those rooms, so.
Now, what you saw Tairr do there, he waited before he went through the door. If you wait, never mind. Taylor does find the silvers in the last chest of the game. But anyway, Tairr was waiting so that all land molas would come up at the same time, and because he had Butter Sword, 1 spin landed a hit on every one.
Man, and so Silver Arrows being in that final chest of the game, you wonder if Tairr's going to even check it. He hasn't been checking any other chests so far.
Yeah, nice triple from Taylor on the first cycle here, but yeah, you could easily skip that chest.
SuperNinTaylor getting some pretty nasty patterns from Aga 2 here. But he's going to finish that up all the same, and we'll be heading straight to Ganon.
Unfortunately, Tairr did not have enough magic to use his magic powder, so he missed out on getting the fairies from the anti-fairy there.
Gets that full magic pickup and does get the heal before his Moldorm 2 fight. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor already on to phase 2 of Ganon now.
Yeah, Better Sword makes this fight really trivial. The first couple rounds, you just need 6 slashes each, and then 1 slash for teleport here in phase 3, and then now that he has the silvers, just 4 silver arrows.
Yeah, Tairr also checking that final chest and getting his silvers as well.
Lots of Ganon teleports today.
All right, just a couple more arrows needed. And there it is. Very well done by SuperNinTaylor. GG's to him. And he walks through the door, finishing with an official Speed Racing TV time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 37 seconds.
What an exciting race, and what a great performance from not just Taylor, but both of our runners here, Tairr and Taylor, did a great job.
So once Tairr finishes up his Ganon fight here, we'll see if we can get both runners in for an interview.
I'm really glad both of our runners checked the last chest of the game, because he checked every chest in the basement besides the big chest. So if they saw Ganon say, "Did you find the arrows in my tower?" and they didn't have them, they would probably be pretty upset.
And there's the final arrow for Tairr. And Tairr, by the way, finishing with an official time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 38 seconds. So nearly, pretty much exactly 2 minutes after SuperNinTaylor.
And joining us now for a post-race interview is SuperNinTaylor. GG.
Hey, thank you.
GG, that was a fantastic race from you two guys.
Yeah, I I felt pretty good about that. Like when I was racing, I felt like usually when I've raced, or at least lately, Rando's been kicking the crap out of me. So the majority of my races, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely behind. But this is like one of the few races where like I feel like I'm actually doing well.
Yeah, it was a long seed, but you found stuff at like it was late on the timer, but
yeah,
made you do things, lots and lots of things. So yeah, it doesn't make it's not too surprising that you felt good because both of you actually routed the seed well. You made some interesting choices halfway through. Well, Tairr especially made some other choices. He decided to fake Flipper into ice.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so his go mode was actually the flippers, whereas obviously yours was the hook shot. But you guys came together in Swamp Palace, and it was really close.
Yeah, see, that's one of those plays I kind of disagree with, especially when Swamp is also a crystal. Because you're just, like, what if Flippers actually is the go mode within the logic, and then you're fake flippering to ice, and you're looking for stuff that you're just not going to find. I think in that scenario, I'd prefer just following the logic until I find the flippers. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's a perfectly valid option. That's what I said. You know, it's your gamble. When you go into Ice Palace without the flippers, you're gambling that it's not the go mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me this seed was the sword situation.
Oh, jeez.
You had your butters at, I want to say, about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was before Tairr had actually even found a sword at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I went to desert, and right when I went there, I actually regret it immediately. I was like, wait, I have no fire source. What am I doing here? I was like, well, I'm here anyway. Let's just clear what I can. Then I got, like, was it? Yeah, 2 sword upgrades, one in desert, one on the desert ledge. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is worth it. And then I immediately went to Hera, and then there's the butter sword. I was like, wow.
Yep. And then I'll be dragging Tairr in to join the conversation.
Oh, is he done now?
Welcome, Tairr. GG.
Hello.
Oh, so that was pretty close then.
This seed.
Yeah, it was quite the seed.
I don't like the path of progression here.
Yeah, the seed made you do just about everything, didn't it?
Yep. I mean, when we look at the progression, the freaking book was in Mire, what leads to Ether Tablet for the Fire Rod, and then Flippers was in Turtle Rock, the Hookshot was in Ice Palace, and Swamp was a Crystal. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I was actually so happy when the book led to something, because that's all I got from Mire, and I was like, you know what? I'm checking Bombos, I'm checking Ether, please lead to something. So I was pretty stoked when it led to the Fire Rod.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that because really, you guys finished 2 minutes apart, and that time difference, a lot of it can maybe be attributed to SuperNinTaylor. You kind of skipped out immediately after getting the items from Mire, whereas Tairr, you completed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the risk. It was green pendant, but I opted to skip it. It was a risk, and it paid off.
Yeah, and we were speculating at that point about where the flippers could be, and that was one thought that they could have been on the green pendant there.
Yeah.
So definitely a risk worth making, but
yeah, well, it could have gone either way. If he did have flippers, then I say Tairr probably would have won this race by a long shot. That's just the nature of Rando, I guess.
Yeah, and that Dark World progression was pretty crazy, but this seed also kind of bricked you into going to Zora early as well.
Yeah.
That was your path to the Dark World. Both
Oh,
of you
yeah.
got just about everything done in the Light World before you got there.
That was another mistake I made. I didn't even think about the rupee farming spot in Eastern before I left. And then I started farming in the Kakariko house, or Blind's house, 3 times.
Yep. Tairr actually checked Agnes cave, and that had the 300 rupees, so
Oh, yeah.
you did not have to farm.
I imagine it was a pretty fun race, though. I'm looking forward to watching it back.
oh, absolutely, it was an amazing race to watch. You guys did a fantastic job. Definitely watch it back because it was super close all the way through. Any other thoughts from you guys about the seed, just in general?
I honestly just had a lot of fun. Like, I've taken a big break from rando. A lot of it has to do with like moving from one city to another and just not having the time. And also because the time that I do have, I've been putting into trying to learn NMG for another tournament that I'm in. So I'm kind of like just stepping back into rando, and I don't know. It's fun. It was kind of refreshing to take a little break and then come back to it. I'm looking forward to the rest of this tournament.
Tairr, any final thoughts?
Yes, every seed with big key in the tile room is a bad seed.
That's fair.
I agree.
All right, guys. If you guys liked what you saw tonight, please give our runners a follow. It was a great race. They did a great job, and they're both very good at Randomizer and Link to the Past in general. So if you like this content, go ahead and give them a follow. Also, I want to thank our restreamer, Liminality Carb, and our tracker, Blastig. Very nice job. Blastig is a pro tracker. Always glad to have him tracking for me. And also, I want to thank my co-commentator, Jay Misher. It's been a blast. Really been a great time.
Absolutely. Thank you as well. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks for commentating. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Lots of Link to the Past Randomizer action across all the Link to the Past Randomizer channels and also the Speed Gaming Network all throughout the weekend. And the Swiss round, we're still only on the first week of Swiss. We got 6 more weeks of Swiss to go, so plenty of races to watch.
Yeah, it certainly has felt like longer than a week. We're not even through the first one, but this has been a lot of fun. Plenty of races yet to come.
All right, I've been Korek.
And I've been Jay Misher.
And see you next time, guys. Have a great night.